We did it because deep down inside, if you really look at it, our why, as Simon Sinek would say, is cherish those relationships. So when you have a bunch of charts that need to be dictated, you have all this extra stuff that's weighing on you. But when you close the door to the exam room, that is your time to enjoy with that patient. And so we are able to form a relationship with a patient by being a genuine person, by how you smile, different ways of smiling. And one of the things that I'm fighting is that I get a lot of people to say it's hard for an ED doctor to form a relationship, it's hard for a neonatologist or a newborn. You can build trust by coming in, forming that relationship with the patient by the way you sit down, by the way you smile, by the way you're not feeling rushed, making them feel rushed, talking about something personal, sharing something. If the person's wearing a Yankees hat, talk about the Yankees for 2 minutes before you get into it. Think about this. If you were in France, country, and you were in the hospital and no one spoke English, you'd be really scared until somebody came in and said, "Hey, how are you? Where from the United States are you? I'm from Florida." And so that's the relationship that we can. And I've proven it over and over again. You can form a relationship and find commonality is the word that you're looking for with anybody. It doesn't matter what race they are, ethnicity, where their socioeconomic background is. And we do these little exercises where I'll flash a room, a hospital room or a treatment room or a family up on a screen for 3 seconds, shut it off, and then say, "Okay, George, tell me one thing about that room that you can relate to." And it may be donuts in the corner of the room, or it may be bright, shiny sneakers or running shoes. Whatever it is, you can do it. If you form that relationship, not only will it help you with your patient experience scores, which we have shown by improving 60%, it'll help you build your practice. It'll stop you, as George said, from getting sued in many cases. And so it's really about forming that relationship. And that doesn't only help the patients, it'll help your own well-being
You know
because
what?
it will decrease physician burnout.
I think this relationship thing is something that's entertained by people like you guys, us older generation doctors. The younger kids, I don't know, they seem to have this, they're a patient, I have a job, this is a medical record. Is that something that's taught or they grew up with, or I don't know where it is, but I'm seeing the relationship going away.
That you see it today. People go out to dinner and everybody's got their nose buried on the cell phone. They're not building relationships with each other. That's why we have such problems.
But for instance, as soon as I get off this podcast, I'm giving a lecture to the incoming first year medical students for Quinnipiac Medical School. I do it every year for them. And we actually show my TED Talk. They show my TED Talk. And then we talk about that human connection and how important that relationship is. I think we need to get to them that early. What medicine has totally confused people is that they have confused the word information and the word communication. And we have a group of people coming up who think that communicating is providing accurate information. And I will say to them, then I would say, for instance, Herb, what was your main goal for that diabetic talk? And you would say, I wanted to give them all the information. And I would sarcastically just say, why don't you just hand them a Google Doc and walk out of the room? Nothing's more information to Google. And then you'd say, that's absurd. And you exactly, not about information. It's about the relationship with communication.
Yeah, absolutely. Relationships are extremely important. Not every time you go out on a date does it become a marriage, but it can still be a relationship. And so when I was in the ER, what you said rings totally true. I had to very quickly build a relationship, and it was very intentional. I wore street clothes because I wanted to be seen as the expert, the physician. The lawyer never comes into a courtroom to do his summation in scrubs, pajamas. They come in a suit. So I come in on with a lab coat, a button-down shirt, and slacks. I used to have dress shoes, but now I'm getting older, so I have to wear tennis shoes so I can get through an 8-hour day standing. So I made some compromises. And I always sit down to the point of being rude. It doesn't matter what the conversation is. If the patient is in my stool, I will, which is the parent, I will say, would you please sit in these chairs and sit Johnny on the stretcher? That's my chair.